I was so hyped when Assassin's Creed Shadows was initially announced. An Assassin's Creed game set in feudal Japan. I think that's something that we've all wanted. But as more details emerged, the excitement quickly turned into disappointment. I mean, controversy after controversy. You know, it started with the decision to feature Yusuke, a black samurai, as one of the two main protagonists instead of choosing from countless historic Japanese figures. Much of the community feels as though this is historically inaccurate, accusing Ubisoft of blackwashing history and pushing the agenda rather than focusing on authenticity. When it was first announced that we would be getting a black samurai, I initially didn't care as much. I thought, oh hey, maybe this is just a new story to tell that I knew nothing of. But I also had to put in perspective the current climate that we're in and the company, right? And their reputation precedes them. Ubisoft has been known for adding a lot of these DEI agendas into their games. So you kind of put two and two together and say, hey, was this an authentic decision, or was this made because you're trying to appease a certain group of people? Another major controversy arose when Ubisoft revealed a collector statue of Naoi leaping from a broken torii gate, which many found culturally insensitive. The design strongly resembles the damaged Senau shrine in Nagasaki, which was partially destroyed by the atomic bombing in 1945. Then there's Ubisoft's outrageous pricing. The Ultimate Edition costs $130, which has angered players, especially since Ubisoft has a history of aggressive monetization. The company tried to justify the price by calling Shadows quadruple A development. Sounds familiar.
Holy shit, Flup. Do you see this menu? This is a quad A menu.
A term they've used before to excuse bloated game costs. But it gets worse. Ubisoft's track record in recent years has been awful. The games have been slammed for being uninspired, repetitive, and formulaic. And I fear Shadows will fall into the same trap. On top of that, Ubisoft's troubling business moves only add to the concern. The company is rumored to be exploring a potential buyout, with delays and ongoing financial struggles fueling speculation that Ubisoft could be facing a serious crisis. Boys, Ubisoft is cooked. To make matters worse, Ubisoft's recent history is riddled with failures. Take Star Wars Outlaws, for example. Despite the hype, the game has been met with poor reception, and it's clear that the development didn't live up to the expectations. I mean, you have a Star Wars game that doesn't have a lightsaber. It was gonna fail regardless. Then there's the Division series, which had potential but was killed off by Ubisoft, leaving fans frustrated. And Skull and Bones, a game that was once seen as a new direction for the company, ending up being a complete disaster. And perhaps one of the most recent controversial things that Ubisoft has done was them delisting The Crew, the online racing game. This forced players to buy the new Crew Motorfest game, a move that caused outrage in the community. These failures, alongside their business decisions, only add more fuel to the fire that Ubisoft is on the verge of collapse. All of this is leading to the harsh reality that Assassin's Creed Shadows, a game that I and many other people have always wanted, we've always wanted an Assassin's Creed set in feudal Japan, will be the game that kind of puts the nail in the coffin. You know, after watching a few videos of some of the early hands-on previews that some of the content creators got the opportunity to do, some things became very, very clear. The decision to include two main protagonists with different playstyles might end up being a double-edged sword. In previous Assassin's Creed games, the main protagonist typically had a blend of stealth, combat, and parkour. These are the cool pillars of the gameplay experience, and splitting these between two characters could risk losing the balance that made previous games so successful. I get that this was an intentional design, but it also raises concerns. As you progress through the game, the need to cater to two different playstyles could result in some frustrating situations. For instance, SkillUp, a well-known YouTuber, made a great point in his preview of the game. He wanted to play as Yusuke because he found his backstory more interesting. But just like in past Assassin's Creed games, he went to climb the synchronization tower, and that's not Yusuke's strength, it's Naoi's. This situation created a barrier and highlighted the core issue. How can you design levels and missions when you're accommodating two distinct playstyles within the same environment? I can already see how this is going to impact the flow, especially in the later stages of the game. They also mentioned that both Yazuke and Naoe feel dull and lifeless, with the writing falling well below expectations. The exploration aspect, a huge draw on previous Assassin's Creed games, was actively discouraged with a new scouting function. Now, it takes away that freedom that was integral in the series. It also didn't make sense for both protagonists to be present during a cutscene before a main mission. You pick one, but then the other one just disappears and then shows up at the end. Why can't they both be part of the mission together? I thought they were a team. Now, this is something that I've been thinking about for a while, but why didn't Ubisoft elect for Shadows to be co-op? It solves the issue of having to switch between two characters. Obviously, if you wanted to play single player, you could, but it just makes more sense to have this title be co-op versus a single player and switching between both characters. While you might have some fun moments with the game, I don't think Ubisoft can afford to launch a game that is below average or average. It's like coming home with a report card and you have all Fs. Everything is an F. Your math, your science, your social studies, and you have one C, and that one C is in gym class. It just doesn't work, right? Assassin's Creed Shadows just isn't going to be the saver Ubisoft needed. In fact, it's shaping up to be the game that seals their fate. It lacks the innovation to stand out, disrespects the culture it tries to represent, and feeds into the ongoing DEI and agenda-driven debates. This is the game that will confirm Ubisoft's demise, prove that they've failed to innovate and evolve, but ultimately destroy Ubisoft as we know it. You guys tell me down below in the comments, what do you think about Assassin's Creed Shadows? Do you think that this game will basically end Ubisoft as we know it? Or do you think this has a chance to kind of revive Ubisoft and maybe put them back on the right track? Let me know down in the comments below. Enjoy your day. Peace.